Tonight on Chronicle, it's the home that belongs to all of us, working to restore the Bridges House, New Hampshire's executive residence.
This is a New Hampshire treasure, a New Hampshire resource, and we're not using it the way it could be used.
It serves as the setting for many official state functions and is New Hampshire's executive residence.
Welcome to the Bridges House in East Concord. A Granite State gem, the house was noted for both its architectural and historic significance when it was granted placement on the National Register of Historic Places.
A gift to the people of New Hampshire by former Governor and United States Senator Styles Bridges and his family. And the home has served our state well.
The time has certainly taken its toll. And the Bridges House is now in need of renovation and updating to continue serving our state.
Here's more on the history of this home and the plans afoot to revive our house.
Politics, whether we like to believe it or not, plays a part that we should approach it as nearly even or with equal responsibility as possible.
To understand the historical significance of Bridges House and its importance to New Hampshire, we must understand Styles Bridges, the legendary politician who once lived in this home and gifted it to the state he served.
I just think it's a really interesting place, and it says so much about who we are as people in New Hampshire. It's our heritage, and I think it's very sad that we haven't been sharing that. People aren't learning about it. People don't get to see it, and I'd like to make that happen.
My analysis shows that a minimum of $3.3 billion can be cut from the budget.
Henry Styles Bridges was a New Hampshire governor and four-term U.S. senator who rose to great power.
And I'm delighted to present to the people of my state of New Hampshire these official films.
In terms of his fiscal control in the Senate and in terms of his activities as an American patriot, he was considered to be one of the most powerful of American senators during the Eisenhower administration and before as well. So this house is kind of a monument to him and to his place in American history, which is quite prominent.
Senator Bridges was so highly regarded by Eisenhower, he rode with him to take the oath of office on Inauguration Day and chaired Eisenhower's Inauguration Committee. Here he is with New Hampshire Representatives Norris Cotton and Chester Merrill. And here's a reception for New Hampshire Governor Hugh Gregg in Washington in 1953. While politics dominated most of his life, long before his bright political fortunes unfolded, Styles Bridges served as secretary of the New Hampshire Farm Bureau. And the senator never forgot his farming roots. His son John, the youngest of three boys, seen here, seated in the front of the fireplace in the parlor of the Bridges house, remembers growing vegetables and caring for livestock on the East Concord property.
He was treated as a farm, the barn, he had been given a pony years ago. Obviously, it was the pony for us, and we kept his wagon underneath the house here, and the pony here, and he was a farmer.
The home was donated to New Hampshire by the Bridges family in 1969 to serve as the executive residence for the governor and his family. While our state's first families generally have not resided at Bridges House, it serves as the setting for many official state functions held by the governor and is an extension of that office. However, the home has not been updated in over 40 years and is in great need of work.
This is a New Hampshire treasure, a New Hampshire resource, and we're not using it the way it could be used. And the Bridges family was so generous to donate this to the state of New Hampshire, including all of the contents. And how shameful that we're not using it and that we're not taking care of it.
First Lady Dr. Susan Lynch has launched a campaign to preserve this New Hampshire landmark in order to share the treasures inside.
I think it's important that New Hampshire citizens get to hear about this, get to see it, maybe come in and take tours of this property and see these beautiful things that were left to all of us.
Her mission, embraced by other First Ladies, continues to grow in support. Now the Friends of Bridges House has launched a campaign to raise money to renovate and restore the home for all Granite Staters.
Governor's house is a wonderful, wonderful home, and it should be enjoyed by everybody in New Hampshire, and unfortunately it really hasn't been cared for the way it should have been.
This here is an example of diplomatic White House china, which is quite impressive that the Bridges House holds an entire collection of this set. This was given to Senator Styles Bridges and is an indication of just how influential and prominent as a senator he was. This is a treasure that is part of the Bridges House collection that the Bridges family donated to the state of New Hampshire.
The Modest Home is a historical monument to the self-made man who, in spite of his power, maintained a life of modesty. And if these walls could talk, the stories they'd share. Former First Lady, the late Gail Thompson, who actually did reside at Bridges House, remembers entertaining billionaire Aristotle Onassis, and when running low on liquor, served him a bottle of Blue Nun wine.
Waiter came around with a bottle of wine wrapped in, the towel, and poured it in, and he tasted it. And he said, "Oh, delicious! What is this?" So they take the cover off, and it was Blue Nun, which is probably, a $3 bottle of wine.
And there are other stories.
I can remember how times have changed. The Secret Service were here when Vice President Johnson came. My brother asked if they'd like a drink. The Vice President was having a drink, and the Secret Service said no. We'd have a cup of coffee, though, and I said, fine, with a little something in it.
Ronald Reagan, when he was running for his first term, and he spent the night. He spent the night. So if it was good enough for Ronald Reagan.
That's one of the reasons I want to get this home opened up to more people, to learn about this wonderful history. The Bridges family were very generous to give this to us, and we really should be making the most of it.
Making the most of it and preserving Bridges House for future generations to learn and appreciate the political history that is New Hampshire.